It's
Okay,
still, so, I'll take a look again. I just need, it's not what I'm with the thing. I guess I can manually type it in Edmonds. So if I'll look up the control account number for the sub account then tomorrow. But if not, I'll
You
talk.
can't find it, Norma. Norma should be able to help you find it.
Yeah, no, I should have it in my budget. I was looking for it in Edmonds. It wasn't there, so I'll just manually.
Actually, call Alfonso.
Okay.
Maybe for some, we had to we took everybody out there while we were converting. He may not have turned you back on, and you may have look only.
Yeah, I'll check with him in the morning then. Okay, yeah, I appreciate it, Ron.
Yeah, talk to Alfonso. Should be able to help.
Yeah, I just want to get the guys from sanitation who and some of the other election bills paid. So
I think we cut the sanitation checks today.
No, because I haven't done the POs yet. Today was the first day I was able to do it.
Now, somebody complained, and we ended up doing the 3 of them, I think.
They can't come out of my, we got to talk about that because people shouldn't be doing things out of my department without signatures. So there was no signature on that, so that's a problem.
Yeah, somebody called from somewhere and was complaining.
I don't care. It's my account. It requires
Yep, for sure. So
I need to know who that was because no one can approve without me. So, okay, I'll talk to you about that tomorrow. Thanks.
Okay, sure enough.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Collin, are you ready to go?
Yes, ma'am. I just want to check on one thing. Somebody says they didn't get the executive session link, so I just want to send that to them real quick before we start.
All righty.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to begin the Trenton City Council meeting of January 20th, 2022. If you please take the time to mute your devices now, it would be greatly appreciated. If you are on a landline, you may dial *9 to raise and unraise your hand and *6 to mute and unmute yourself. If you're on a smart device, otherwise, please look for the little microphone. You can also find the hand raise and unraise under the ellipses, which has a number of gestures. There's actually a little hand with a little face, and you can look for the gestures there. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll begin very shortly. There will be a public portion tonight. It will be 10 minutes. You can speak on any topic. We ask that you be respectful. Please do not speak otherwise until recognized by the Trenton City Council Chairman. We greatly appreciate your time, and the chairwoman in this case. We greatly appreciate your time. Council President, I have the call to order statement on the screen. I don't know if we have a quorum yet. Let me check. We do have a quorum, Council President, so I will gather the other members as they come in. But we are ready to begin whenever you are, ma'am.
Oh, there was someone shuffling a lot of papers. All right. Good evening, Mr. Collin, and good evening to the public and everyone that is on this meeting. This meeting is being called to order.
Ma'am, let me mute whoever that is. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please take the time to mute your devices by hitting the little microphone or dialing *6 on your landline. Please do not interrupt the Trenton City Council. It is a very important session, so we ask for your patience in this time. Council President, my apologies.
All right, I will continue. This meeting is being called to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to Public Laws 1975, Chapter 231. This agenda is complete to the extent known and was sent to the Trenton Times, posted on the first floor bulletin board in the City Hall, filed in the City Clerk's office, and posted on the City of Trenton's website formal action will be taken. Roll call, Mr. Conlon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Blakeley. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Present.
Mr. Harrison.
Present.
Let me just add you to the spotlight. Mr. Michelle.
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Ms. Vaughn. Council President McBride.
Present.
City Clerk Matthew Coleman is present. Legislative Council Edward Clogy.
Present.
Council President, the staff of the council is here, as well as the council. We have a quorum. Would you like me to call the department heads?
Yes, please, Mr. Conlon.
Mr. Cruz.
My apologies. Present. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Mr. Cherry.
Present, good evening.
Mr. List.
Present.
Mr. Bridges. Someone from the law department here covering tonight? Mr. Wilson.
Director Wilson will be joining us shortly.
Yes, sir. Mr. Douglas.
Good evening, President.
Mr. Daniels.
Good evening, President.
Dr. Lopez.
Good evening, I'm present.
Director Onatieri. Mr. Onatieri. Mr. Onatieri. Ms. Richards.
Good evening, I am present.
Mr. Lavenberg.
Good evening, present.
And Mr. Cruz is acting as the Director of Finance. Council President, the directors are here as noted. Would you like me to proceed?
Yes, go right ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we could all bow our heads for an invocation. Almighty, we pray to you to defend our first responders in their duties, be their protection against the malice, physical dangers, and emergent situations. Protect these brave men and women, grant them your almighty protection, unite them in safety with their families until their duty has ended. We thank you, Almighty God, for bringing us Officer Jerry McClure and for sharing his precious time with our Trenton family. We ask for your protection for his family and friends and to assuage their grief and to bring them the light of beautiful memories of our fallen brother. We ask you also for the protection of those who serve our city, who guide its course. We ask you for your protection for those of us who are embarking on new adventures in the course of their duties of service to others. We ask you for comedy, patience, and wisdom in the exercise of our duties and the service of the great citizens of the city of Trenton, all her mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters. Thank you for your blessings and grant us our petition for protection and health. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could let me grab the flag. My apologies. Normally just hanging there. Rise for a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council President, would you like to proceed down the docket?
Yes, yes, please. We're going into
Yes, ma'am.
executive session.
Yes, ma'am. I'll bring 22005 up to the front. I believe it's actually at the front already. If IT can prepare the executive session sign, council is going to be going to an executive session shortly. This is Resolution 22-005, authorizing the City Council of the City of Trenton to hold an executive session which excludes the public. The executive session is under NJSA 10-4-12. The purpose of the executive session is potential active litigation, and this is actually the, my apologies, this is the, just bear with me for 1 second. This is actually the updated executive session resolution that was posted, and the two topics are Karen D. Signore versus the City of Trenton and MPS versus City of Trenton versus Council. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 22-005?
So moved.
A motion by
Second.
McBride. I have a second by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson. We'll call the roll. Mr. Blakeley?
Yes.
Mr. Blakeley, you are present. Thank you, sir. I'll mark the roll. Thank you, sir. Mr. Blakeley votes yes. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn? Council President McBride?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned to executive session at 5:36 p.m. We will be returning shortly after executive session. I do not have an estimate on the time. Please check back with us. IT is going to post a sign to let us know. As you check back, you can check. We shall return after we discuss the two topics. Thank you very much.
Mr. Collin, could you make sure that Mr. Pelosi has that executive
I
session list?
re-forwarded to him again just a couple of minutes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome, sir. We went to the AOL. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, we will rejoin you shortly. Thank you very much. Council President, the entire council has returned. We are ready to proceed.
Yes.
When you wish, ma'am.
Yes, you may continue with the agenda.
Yeah, let me just put the docket back up for everybody. Okay, Council President, I'll call the roll. Mr. Blakeley?
Present.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Present.
Mr. Harrison?
Present.
Mr. Michelle?
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Present.
Ms. Vaughn?
Councilwoman Vaughn?
Councilwoman?
She's probably muted because I see her.
Yeah, I see her muted. If she hits her space bar, she can quickly unmute herself. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. That's good enough. Council President McBride?
Yes, present.
City Clerk Matthew Collins present. Mr. Cologi? Mr. Cologi? Yep, I got you. Council President, do you want me to call the directors again?
No, I see them here. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Proceed into the docket. First, we have a consent agenda. Would you like me to read the consent agenda numbers, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a consent agenda for council's approval. Let's get the numbers out. Consent agenda numbers are 22-006, 22-011, 22-020. That is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Harrison. I have a second by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson. Call the roll. Mr. Blakeley?
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn,
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
Consent agenda is approved by a unanimous vote. Council President, would you like me to proceed?
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have Resolution 22-007. Put it up on the... if we could actually just find that and mute that in the background. And my apologies. First, we have actually Resolution 22-021. This is a resolution appointing council member liaisons to various boards and commissions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion by Council President McBride. I have a second by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson. The floor is open. Council President, would you like me to move the roll?
Yes, please.
Mr. Blakeley.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
I'm sorry, I was reading something else. What is this now?
This is Resolution 22-001, resolution appointing council member liaisons to various boards and commissions.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
So ordered, the resolution carries unanimously. Council President, next we have Resolution 22-007, a resolution authorizing the city of Trenton to conduct an accelerated tax sale prior to December 31st, 2022.
Mr. Collins, could you put the resolutions and the ordinances on the screen for us this evening, please?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I thought they were up. I didn't see the little red box around. There you go. You should be able to see it now, Council President.
Yes, I can. Mhm.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion on 22-007 by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Harrison. Council President, would you like me to call the roll?
Yes.
Mr. Blakeley.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
No.
Is that a no or no vote, sir?
No. No.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Vaughn.
No.
Council President McBride.
No.
Assuming that this passes by a simple majority, it does pass 4-0. I believe it does. I will double check that. I'm sorry, it's 4-3, not 4-0. But I believe it did pass. We'll check with the legal department tomorrow. Next we have Resolution 22-008. This is the executive session. This is a matter heard in executive session. Do I have a motion to approve 22-008, which is now up on the screen? This is a resolution authorizing settlement in the civil matter of Karen Del Signore with the city of Trenton.
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Michelle. I'll call the roll. Mr. Blakeley.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
I no vote. I was not in attendance.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
Resolution carries by a vote of 6-0 with one no vote. Council President, next we have 22-009. It is Resolution 22-009, a resolution authorizing assignment of 128 tax sale certificates totaling $1,744,446.95 pursuant to NJSA 54.5-113. Do I have a motion? I have a motion. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. Council President, would you like me to call the roll?
Yes.
Mr. Blakeley.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
No.
Ms. Vaughn.
No.
Council President McBride.
No.
Resolution carries by a vote of 4-3. Council President, next we have Resolution 22-010. This is a resolution authorizing transfers to be made by the acting director of finance of the transition year 2021 appropriations reserve of $685,000. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Cole Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second. Second.
Mr. Harrison, Council President, would you like to call the roll?
Yes.
Ms. Blakeley.
Yes.
Ms. Cole Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
No.
Council President McBride.
This is for the tax certificate sale.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. This is
Yes, no.
this is the budget transfers. I'm sorry.
Oh, the budget transfer. Okay, yes.
Yes, ma'am. So noted. Thank you. Resolution carries by a vote of 7-1. Next, we have Resolution 22-012.
6-1.
Mr. Collins, it can't
6-1.
carry by 7-1. It cannot
6-1.
carry.
I'm sorry. If I said 7-1, my apologies. It was 6-1. Next, we have Resolution 22-012, a resolution authorizing to apply for and accept the New Jersey Economic Development Authority Government Restricted Municipality Planning Grant, Phase 1, in the amount of $250,000. Do I have a motion?
Wait a minute, could you enlarge that? Could you enlarge that so I could see it? Because I can't. Okay.
Ms. Vaughn, was that you?
No.
Second.
This, wait a minute. This, 200 and, is that the 290,000?
Yeah, this is 250. It's a grant reception in the amount
Oh,
of
okay.
250,000.
All
Trying
right.
to get as much of it on the screen as I can without.
Yeah, I got my paper now. So,
Yes, ma'am. Do
thank
you have a motion? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the motion. Ms.
I
Cole,
already made
Second.
a motion.
Mr. Harrison did make the second. I'm sorry, I did not hear who did it. Council President, would like to call the roll.
Yes.
Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Cole Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
No.
Council President McBride.
Abstain.
Resolution carries by a vote of 5-1 with one abstention. Next, we have Resolution 22-013, a resolution to accept, adopt, and be included in the Mercer County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan is submitted to the New Jersey Office of Emergency Management and the Federal Office of Emergency Management. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. Council President, would you like to call the roll?
Yes.
Mr. Blakely.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Abstain.
Resolution carries by a vote of 6-0 with one abstention. Council President, the next item, actually, I received an email earlier on today between the law director and the legislative council, and I believe Mr. Bridges and Mr. Clogier recommended that it be pulled, but I'm not. Council.
Could you put it? Could you put it up?
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to put it up now. This is Resolution 22-014, resolution authorizing no additional cost contract extension for professional service. Resolution 21-085 between the City of Trenton and Wallace Robertson Todd LLC. Amendment number 1 to conduct updates to the transit and development area plans. And before I even ask for a motion, would you like to hear from the legal advisors, ma'am?
I would just like to know if the administration is pulling this or tabling or whatever the procedure is.
Council President, Director Daniels, I am in concurrence, and I am asking that it be tabled.
It can actually be pulled at this point. There's no action, no official action on it. So.
Thank you, Director Daniels, and I echo that. We just want to get some additional information. The council's comfortable with this. We have the information, but we have not had time this afternoon in this meeting to digest that. So we just want to digest it. We believe that it will be on the next meeting, but for council's benefits, if they're comfortable with it, we'd like to provide that and have Mr. Kalogi and I confirm before a vote upon it.
All righty. So thank you, Mr. Bridges. So the administration will be pulling this.
No objection from the Council President. The administration has pulled 22-014. Next, we have Resolution 22-015, resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to IBN Construction Corp. For construction services for the Neighborhood Redevelopment and Revitalization Pilot Program for demolition and/or stabilization of vacant and abandoned structures, Hmfa demo funded for a period of 1 year from date of award at an amount not to exceed $233,899.20 per bid 2021-51. Do I have a motion?
No, Council President, I wanted to,
Let
Let me just.
him get the second and then the floor open.
And a
Second.
second. I have a second by Mr. Harrison. The floor is open, Council President.
Councilman
yes.
Vaughn.
thank you. I had this roll call because I asked for the, all the submissions or the responses that we received from various construction companies that were interested in this particular piece of work or project. And when I looked at the bid package, my concern is that this administration and this administrator has Mr. Collins, can you ease up on turning those pages? You heavy on turning the pages, Mr. Collins.
Sorry, ma'am. My apologies.
So I was very concerned, and I've always have been, that I care about the local economy. That is the city of Trenton and the suburban townships that are lined with our borders: Ewing, Hamilton, Lawrence, Hopewell, etc. Now, there's such thing. All municipalities adhere to laws around local hiring. Local hiring just doesn't mean just in the city of Trenton, but of course the contiguous borders. And when you take work like this, contracts like this out of our region, it really hurts our economy and our families and our businesses. And jobs. So I looked at that bid package. And yes, it says this administration has this thing about, we went with the lowest bidder. But we all know in the contracts law, we've all learned, we've been educated over the past 4 years, that it is the lowest and responsible bidder. And of course, the government has some flexibility as to consider other issues or circumstances or factors. And the other factor to consider is the local hiring laws. Okay? So we have local hiring and residency laws that says Trentonians and our border townships, they get priority when it comes to jobs in Trenton and contract opportunities and work. So I looked at the bid package, and I think, if I recall, I don't have it in front of me now, and I don't want to open up another window, but it's I believe it was four other businesses that applied. And the other three were, in another jurisdiction, but there was one, Mr. Collins, can you bring it up? It was in Robbinsville. I think it was called All American Wrecking. Yeah, there it is. It's All State Wrecking, Inc. It's on Route 33. It's in Robbinsville, New Jersey. So that's, was a part of Hamilton Township at one point. But Robbinsville, New Jersey. And if you can go down, All State Wrecking is in our contiguous borders. And why would the administration, or why would this council even vote for a contract and put it all the way up in Essex County? Now, every single business in Trenton and Hamilton, Robbinsville, Mercer County should be appalled and have serious concerns when our government take action against our local economy like this. So I'm not happy with the mayor's decision or in his administration and the business administrator to select out of this bid package IBM Construction. And I would want absolutely to give this contract to All State Wrecking Inc. in Robbinsville, New Jersey, for all the reasons I just stated. Because I want to always favor local hiring and local contracting and give our businesses in our region the opportunities. And that's all I have to say about that. I won't be voting for this. I would encourage my council members to give this business. Yes, they came in a little higher, but I think it's prudent to boost our economy. If Robinville if this local business hire locally and supporting families that live in Mercer County, then I'm willing to absorb the marginal difference, because the residual benefits of all wrecking will exceed the difference between the bid that IBM submitted and All-Star Wrecking. So the investment, this money will get reinvested in our local economy, and that's where the benefit is. So again, we should go with All-State Wrecking Inc. in Robbinsville, New Jersey, instead of sending $200,000+ all the way to Essex County, where that money will never get reinvested in the city of Trenton or our local economy, that is Mercer County. And that's all I have to say about that, Council President. I will not be voting for this, and the mayor should be ashamed of himself.
Madam President, I am ready to comment if you allow
No,
me
I
to.
didn't ask Mr. I didn't ask him to comment. Council President, we about to vote.
Mr. Cruz, there's no input asked from you. Mr. Conlon, may you continue with the vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. I have a second. This is Resolution 22-015, a resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to IBM Construction Corp. for construction services for the Neighborhood Redevelopment and Revitalization Pilot Program for demolition and/or stabilization of vacant and abandoned structures, HMFA demo funded for a period of 1 year from date of award, in an amount not to exceed $233,899.20 per bid 2021-51. I have a motion by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson, second by Mr. Harrison. Mr. Blakeley.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Before I cast my vote, I have I would really like advice from the attorney as to, if we don't approve this, if we're going to cause us to have another lawsuit filed against us because they were the lowest bidder. I just need that to be cleared, because I agree with the councilwoman that, you know, when a local contractor comes close to that lowest bid, we need to consider them first. And there should be some sort of scoring system. If you're local, you get additional points.
Mr. Kaloji?
Yes. I sent
Councilwoman
Councilwoman Vaughn an email earlier today in response to, I guess, several emails on this. The basic rule is that the lowest responsible bidder is entitled to be awarded the contract. I also said there's generally language in bid specifications which gives the city the right to reject any and all bids in the interests of the city. But that's not, you know, something that should just be a hard and fast rule. For example, in a contract where the city's engineering personnel have a general idea of what the bid should be, if a bid comes in that particular area, even if there's only one bid, unless there's some extraordinary reason to not go with it, ordinarily the bidder would get the bid, even if they were the only bid. So I am not advocating any kind of system where we're going to reject bids as a matter of course because there's only one bid. But on a case-by-case basis, it's up to the purchasing people and ultimately up to council whether they are going to, you know, approve the matter. There should be a reason why they're not going to approve it, or if they're going to rely on the general ability to reject bids. I understand there is some case law that might even, you know, put a couple twists into that. So it's not entirely clear, but as a general rule, the lowest responsible bid should get the contract, even if it's one bid, unless there's a compelling reason or a significant reason not to do it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kaloji.
Thank you,
also,
ma'am.
yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson votes yes. Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
No.
Ms. Vaughn.
No, I think local hiring is a compelling reason to reject it. Thank you. No.
Council President McBride.
No.
Resolution carries by a vote of 4-3. Next, we have Resolution 22-016. This is a resolution rejecting proposals received for engineering services for preparation of plan specifications and inspections for the reconstruction of West State Street between Prospect Street and Parkside Avenue through RFP 2021-45. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Harrison. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Michelle. Council President, would you like me to call the roll?
No, I would like to speak to this.
Yes, ma'am.
I asked this to be roll called because there was a couple of red flags as far as I was concerned with this particular process. And so Ms. Samuel Jackson, she did come on and explain why they were rejecting this bid. She did offer up an explanation of the 10-day advertisement, and she did email everyone that instead of being 10 days, it should have been 7 days. But that, to me, only cured that addendum piece. It did not cure the piece where they protected those bids. So to me, the lowest bidder was not protected in this case, and I believe that to reject their bid, rejecting this particular bid is not cured, because the lowest bidder was exposed, his numbers was exposed, and therefore put that company at a serious disadvantage. So I will not be supporting this, because I think that the administration has a serious flaw here, and only one part of this bid rejection has been cured, and that's the part with the addendum. Thank you. You can call the roll.
Yes, ma'am. This is Resolution 22-016, resolution rejecting proposals received for engineering services for preparation of plan specifications and inspection for the reconstruction of West State Street between Prospect Street and Parkside Avenue through RFP 2021-45. I have a motion by Mr. Harrison, a second by Mr. Michelle. Mr. Blakeley.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Abstain.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
No.
Council President McBride.
No.
Resolution, I believe, carries by a vote of 4-3, but I will double check with the legal department. Mr. Kaloji, unless you know off the top of your head, I believe a simple majority rejects bids, correct?
This is just to award, correct?
It's to reject all bids.
Yeah, it's a simple majority.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 22-017, a resolution awarding a contract through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:44 Cap A-20.4 et sec to Brownfield Redevelopment. Let me put it up on the screen. To Brownfield Redevelopment Solutions, Inc. for the architectural engineering and planning consultant services to assist in the implementation and the completion of various recreation project management service in an amount not to exceed $300,000 for a period of 1 year from date of award through RFP 2021-62. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second? A second by Mr. Harris.
Second.
Council President, would like to call the roll.
I have a question.
Yes. Go right ahead.
Yes, I had asked this to be roll called because I wanted to review. I didn't get any information that I requested. I requested that that I get the list of the projects that was going to be associated with this $300,000. And also I asked, after the fact, not on the record, to get, this particular company is one of the ones that I've always was concerned about, that they repeatedly win the bid. And I just want to put on the record for Trentonians that, again, the New Jersey contracts law is very clear about the fair and open process. When we see a contractor that repeatedly, time and time again, gets the contract, that's a red flag. And you got to ask your question, is that bid going out fair and competitively, and whether other companies have have a real shot at getting the contract. No one should be favored. Not any business should be given favor by any local government or any government, any level of government for public funds and public contracting. BRS has been getting the contract for upward of 10 years. And I would like to see, I know my council members are going to vote for this, but I would still like to see Director Richardson. I want to see that bid package. I want to see the other companies that bid it for this work. And I didn't get that. Mr. Collins, did you get that?
I did actually. I did, and I forwarded it this afternoon at 4:14 p.m. I received it at 4:12 p.m.
Yes. So
Actually, no, my apologies. Those are the wrong time frames. Let me take a look. It was, I received it at 12:13 p.m. and forwarded it around 1 o'clock. A little bit later than 1, almost 2. So.
When, and you know, I get a lot of concern about the level of service in the parks. You know, yesterday was on Tuesday it was commented that this company or Director Richardson was responsible for painting a basketball court and putting up nets in that basketball court. But a resident informed me that was Brian Cavers who painted that basketball court and put those nets up. That had nothing to do with BRS or Director Richardson, and they didn't even bother to correct the resident. So Brian Cavers have been running a basketball program for many, many years, along with Micah Brooks, and they painted that court and cleaned it up themselves because the Parks and Recreation Department is so negligent in that regard and have not used the money that has been allocated to it to remediate those basketball courts. So thank you, Brian Cavers. So you shouldn't take credit for things that you didn't do. So the other thing is, bottom line is, BRS has been on rotation, and I want to see those. Well, Mr. Collins, I will check them out. But again, I want to see the score sheets. I want to see the other companies that bid it. And it is a travesty as far as open competition in the city of Trenton regarding getting contracts and jobs. So I'm very disappointed with this company and their level of service, and that they're automatically getting favor from this administration and others prior. So and the individual was a retired employee of the city of Trenton. So it's corruption at its best. So again, that's all I have to say, and I will be voting no for this.
Council President, would you like me to call the roll?
Yes, please.
This is Resolution 22-017, a resolution awarding contract through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:44 Cap A-20.4 at Sec to Brownfield Redevelopment Solutions, Inc. for architectural engineering and planning consultant services to assist the implementation and completion of various recreation project management services in an amount not to exceed $300,000 for a period of 1 year from date of award through RFP 2021-62. I have a motion by Ms. Cole-Wilson, a second by Mr. Harrison. Mr. Blakeley.
Yes.
Ms. Cole-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
No.
Ms. Vaughn.
No.
Council President McBride.
No.
Resolution carries by a vote of 4 to 3. Next, we have Resolution 22-1018. This is a resolution authorizing payment for an emergency contract with the Municipal Maintenance Company, 1352 Taylor's Lane, Cinnaminson, New Jersey, 08077, which was awarded on an emergency basis for temporary bypass pump for Trenton Waterworks Water Filtration Plant Mechanical Dewatering Facility in an amount not to exceed $25,150.45. Do I have a motion?
So move.
A motion, Ms. Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Michelle. Council President, would you like me to call the roll?
Yes.
Mr. Blakeley.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
No.
Council President McBride.
No.
Resolution carries by a vote of 5 to 2. Next, we have Resolution 22-019. This is a resolution accepting a bid and awarding contract to Scott Testing, Inc. for inspection, testing, and preventative repair maintenance of primary and secondary electrical equipment for a period of 1 year from the time of award and an amount not to exceed $137,148 to bid 2021-76.
So move.
I have a motion by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. Council President would like me to call the roll.
Yes, please.
Mr. Blakeley.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
No.
Council President McBride.
No.
Resolution carried by a vote of 5-2. Next, we have Resolution 22. Actually, that is it for the resolutions. Hold on 1 second. The last one was on the consent agenda. Council President, would you like me to move on to new business as far as ordinances go?
Yes, please.
Okay, Council President, the first ordinance up for introduction is an ordinance governing the appointment of professional assistants in the Department of Law. This is sponsored by Ms. Vaughn. Ms. Vaughn, I'm assuming you're making the motion?
Yes, so move.
I have a motion by Ms. Vaughn. This is ordinance 22-01, an ordinance governing the appointment of professional assistants in the Department of Law. I have a motion by Ms. Vaughn. Do I have a second?
I thought that this was, I thought that somebody said that it should have some amendment in the title. Is that not what I heard on Tuesday?
We can still amend the title if you wish. Do you?
No, I'm just asking.
I do remember that, but I didn't receive anything.
The preferential treatment was supposed to be removed.
Okay, well, we can amend it right now before we actually introduce it.
Yeah, so the title should say what the ordinance is attempting to do. The ordinance is attempting to make an amendment or a correction. And that clause right there in that sentence, that's all it's trying to do. But the title is not clear that is what it's doing.
So do you want to amend it now,
Councilwoman? It's an amendment to correct the language by deleting a sentence that references preferential treatment, which is illegal to do. Our municipality does not apply preferential treatment in any of its hiring or contracting. So it's just an amendment, a correction in the language of this particular code. But the title does not describe that at all.
But Councilwoman, it has that now is there. Now it is therefore ordained, and it still has in there the City of Trenton shall receive preferential treatment. Doesn't that have to be changed?
Yeah, no, it has to. Well, it says it's going to remove it. So right above that, it does say amend it as to delete. See right there, they're going to delete that. So it's fine. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I just would like the titles to be clear because everybody, usually don't read all the clauses. But nonetheless, absolutely, it does say delete. Okay, no problem. We can move on. So long as folks are aware, there's nothing significant. It's not a material change. It's just deleting that sentence, that reference that the City of Trenton applies preferential treatment. We have to get that out of there because otherwise folks will sue and say that they were discriminated against.
Council President, if I may, is it and Mr. Collins, is it proper to amend this versus submitting this as a brand new ordinance? If there's something on the dock, it shouldn't be as an amendment with the same title that's currently on the city's books with respect to this?
Anytime prior to adoption, they can amend anything that they want, especially being that this is an introduction. If it was between the actual introduction and a vote to approve the introduction and then the final adoption, they would actually have to amend it by resolution. But up to the moment that they introduce it, she can amend it and change the words in it. I will take I'm ready with pen to take the written recording, and then they can vote on it, understanding. But Mr. Cologi, I'm sure, can give an opinion on that.
No, my question is, what's the title of the current ordinance as it now stands on Trenton 360? Because what I'm just concerned of is having two
I understand what you're
ordinances that contradict each other. That's my only question.
Hold on, let me see the section 2-22.
I believe it's just going to be under city attorney. It probably doesn't have a title like this.
Professional assistance. An ordinance governing the appointment of professional assistants professional assistance is here it is. I'll put it up here right now. It's 222, professional assistants. So it's just as, and that's what it says, an ordinance governing the appointment of professional assistants in the Department of Law.
All right, cool. I appreciate it. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have conflicting ordinance. That was the purpose of my question. Thank you.
All righty. Mr. Collins, you may continue.
So there is no amendment?
No.
Yes, there is.
Well, no,
you're
so
amending
long
the
as
title.
Yeah, in the title. I mean,
What did you want the title to read now, ma'am?
to amend professional statute, code 2-22, professional assistance. To amend that language.
How about if we just change the word governing, change it to amending?
Oh, that's fair. That's very simple.
That
Thank
work?
you. That works. Thank you, Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Cologi. Ms. Vaughn, is that how you'd like to proceed?
Yes, that's fine. Yep.
Okay, so this is an amendment on the floor prior to adoption and introduction. Let me take this off. So this would be ordinance 22-01. And in here, we are going to assert the word pending the appointment of the governing body, and we'll take care of the rest later. So this is ordinance 22-01, an ordinance amending the appointment of professional assistants in the Department of Law. Council President, we have actually 2 public hearings already scheduled for the 3rd. Did you want to keep this on the 3rd and move it to the 17th? Or Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, let's move it to the 17th.
The public hearing, just to keep the public hearing.
I think the 17th would be better because you don't, for the public hearings for the other ordinances, the floor is open for 10 minutes. So if Councilwoman Vaughn doesn't mind, we can
Ms. Vaughn, do you have any
the 17th.
public hearing on the 17th?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I have an introduction from Ms. Vaughn. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Ms. Caldwell-Wilson. Council President, would you like me to move the roll?
Yes, please.
Mr. Blakeley.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
No.
Mr. Michelle.
No.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
The ordinance is introduced. Public hearing is set for February 17th. It will be advertised accordingly. Council President, next we have ordinance, the introduction of ordinance 22-02. This is an ordinance creating the position of mental health worker in the Department of Health and Human Services, newly established mental health and wellness program in the Director's Office, fixing the salary range therefore, and setting forth certain regulations for the implementation of the same.
So
I have a motion. I have a motion by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Harrison. Council President, would you like me to move the roll?
Yes, please.
Mr. Blakeley.
Yes.
This be, Council President, when do you want this public hearing? You want this on the 3rd or the 17th?
The 17th. We were going to keep the public hearing for the week of the 1st and the 3rd like it is. So we will move these to the 17th.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn. I'm
Yes.
sorry, Mr. Michelle.
Sure.
That's it. Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn, you voted yes, thank you.
Yes.
And Council President McBride.
Yes.
Ordinance carries for introduction. Public hearing will be on February 17th. Next, we have Ordinance 22, the introduction of Ordinance 22-03. Once again, Council President, just housekeeping, you would like this on the 17th as well. So this will be a public hearing for February 17th. This is Ordinance 22-03, an ordinance creating a confidential position of clinical psychologist in the Department of Health and Human Services' newly established mental health and wellness program in the Director's Office, fixing the salary rates therefore and setting forth certain regulations for the implementation of the same. Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Mr. Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Blakeley. Council President, would you like me to call the roll?
Yes, please.
Mr. Blakeley.
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Yes.
Council President McBride.
Yes.
Public hearing is set for February 17th for final adoption. Council President, those are the three new ordinances. Let me just check the agenda to make sure that I am not missing anything. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the public portion of the Trenton City Council meeting of January 22nd, 2022. The primary rule is please maintain decorum and be respectful of your fellow citizens and our public officials. The second is you have 10 minutes, and if we ask you to stop, please do stop. Thank you very much. If you are on a smartphone, you can raise your hand. If you are on a landline, you can actually raise your hand dialing *9. Council President, the first person who wishes to speak is Mr. Michael Rinaldo.
Mr. Conlon.
Yes, ma'am.
It would be up to the body to let Mr. Rinaldo speak, because in light of his total disregard for decorum and his disregard for this council, I don't believe that he should be allowed to have the floor of this council.
That would be a mistake.
And I would seek information.
You don't want to do that,
from Mr.
President.
Pelosi.
Mr. Rinaldo, please do not interrupt until such time as you yield.
And that is one of the reasons that I don't believe that he should be allowed to have the floor in this council. Mr. Pelosi, I'm asking you, in light of the total disregard and disrespect for this council and the verbiage that he spewed out on Tuesday, are we obligated to let him have the floor?
Well, we have extensive rules on decorum, both in terms of the way council people are supposed to act and members of the public. There is an enforcement mechanism, which is generally in the hands of an officer, which doesn't apply because we're on Zoom. So these are a little different. I mean, I would recommend that you allow him to speak as a citizen and just put on the record the admonishment that we do have rules of decorum, and if the rules of decorum aren't adhered to, they will be enforced by way of a termination of his ability to be heard, or, something along those lines. So I would recommend that you allow him to speak.
All righty. Upon Mr. Pelosi's recommendation, Mr. Conlon, I will allow him the floor.
Okay, and Mr. Rinaldo, please, we do have rules of decorum. According to Robert's rules, you are to direct your comments to the chair. There are rules of decorum. Please, we ask that you do maintain them, and it's going to be, we will enforce them this evening if they're not abided by. I do ask as a gentleman that you show your best side, sir.
Thank you very much.
I am yielding the floor to you, or Council President is yielding the floor to you at 7:03 p.m.
Thank you. Just to preface the comment that I was going to make, I want to be 100% clear that the comments that Council President McBride is referring to did not go out live over the council meeting that was being broadcast. It was an open mic situation that would broadcast locally over a Facebook page. Council President McBride never heard those comments. No person in the body of council heard those comments, and no member of the public on the council meeting at time heard those comments. She's referring to comments that went out that were heard only on a Facebook page that I was broadcasting to. So now that we're clear on that, I will continue with my public comment. Thank you. My comment this evening is in response to Council President McBride's civic comment of Tuesday, January 18th regarding Cadwallader Park. I want to clarify the misinformation that was presented. President McBride stated that Cadwallader Park was locked down and closed to the public due to COVID-19. The park is not locked down to the public. Many people, including me, use the park every day. For example, groups of women gather and walk the park every morning for exercise. The park is closed to vehicular traffic and open to pedestrians. It has been like that for many months. The new gates in the park have been installed for approximately 4 months. Prior to that, there were concrete barriers placed to restrict vehicles when Governor Murphy enacted his order on COVID-19 in 2020, almost 2 years ago. Cars can arrive from Parkside, enter the park, and exit to Maple Avenue or stop and use the park. People can park on Stuyvesant Avenue and use the park. People can park on Cadwallader Drive and use the park. Nobody is being excluded from Cadwallader Park. Vehicles are excluded from the outer ring of the park right past where Trenton Road intersects with Broadway within the park. A park ranger requested Ms. McBride, Councilwoman Vaughn, and Councilman Rodriguez move their cars because they were parked illegally past the gates that were installed to prevent cars from parking in that location. All three were parked at the pavilion, a clear violation of the no vehicles in the park policy. The three council people ignored the gates and drove around them in violation of the request to not take vehicles past that point. The park ranger was doing his job and should be commended and not villainized. Council people are not above the rules that everyone else must follow. Council President McBride is not the law. Further, if the council people were not asked to move their cars because of any racial characterization, bringing race into this conversation is pandering of the lowest level, race baiting, and serves no constructive purpose. Shame on those that attempt to make this a racial issue. Once again, like what happened with blue waffle disease, the 5G conspiracy, President McBride went full charge into something she knew nothing about and spoke completely inaccurate and inflammatory information to the public. If President McBride was so concerned about the gates, there was ample opportunity to question Director Richardson and get accurate information instead of waiting for civic comment. Director Richardson was at this meeting and in fact spoke earlier in the evening. This could have also been done outside the confines of a public meeting in order to come prepared with the facts of the situation. I emailed Director Richardson Wednesday morning to confirm that it is only vehicles that are not permitted. A few minutes later, I received a reply that let me know exactly that. Pedestrians are permitted, not vehicles. Instead of taking the time to gather the facts of that situation, President McBride made statements that were completely inaccurate and presented them to the public as fact. By not contacting Director Richardson and getting the correct information and instead attacking me, I believe President McBride was trying to politicize the issue and being disingenuous in her presentation of the situation. It is no secret that I am currently running for council at large in the November 2022 elections. My comment tonight goes beyond the gates in the park or whether people choose to vote for me or not. Elections have consequences, and voters need to make smart choices. This and the last 4 years are what happens when voters make poor choices in the voting booth. Please make smarter choices in November 2022. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. Good evening.
Next person, Mr. Conlon.
Council President, next we have Mr. Bill Kearney.
Go right ahead.
Can you hear me okay? Hello?
Yes, sir, you have the floor.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, terrific. I want to echo everything that Mike Rinaldo said. I agree with it 100%, of course. But I also want to talk about some other issues. Since that road's been closed, the park rangers have said the reduction in drugs, sex, littering, loitering, and everything else has been substantially reduced. Not because of no access, but because of no vehicle and ATV access. I applaud this. Our park has never looked better and has never been in better shape since this has been taken care of. And it's ironic that the council president would have her live protest there yesterday from inside the park. She was saying no one had access to, standing in front of a gate that had been a Jersey barrier for years that was now upgraded to an attractive gate. The other issue is, doesn't matter how many cars go through. Let's say all the cars are open. Up until yesterday, there were 37 lights burned out in the park. So nobody could see what was happening. Nobody could see if there was a stabbing, a shooting, a mugging, a rape, God forbid. But you guys don't really care about women's issues. Even though you're women of color, it's not pressing to deal with the clerk, okay? But not our West Ward councilman and not any of our at-large people. It was South Ward Councilman George Michel, who yesterday worked his butt off behind the scenes without selfies and grandstanding and had 30 of those 37 lights replaced. The park is lit up like a Christmas tree now. It looks like a park. And if I continue to hear these ridiculous things about racial, people are being kept out, like black people are being kept out of the park, the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. And the comments Tuesday about, oh, the park is only for one white man. Are you kidding me? You should be mortified and embarrassed. You are ruining it for the people who really are discriminated against. That's all I have to say right now, but I'm not going away. Thank you.
Mr. Conlon, you may continue.
Yes, Council President. Next, we have Starling Electric. Can you please identify your name for the record? Hello, Starling Electric.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you please identify yourself for the record?
Yeah, my name is John Starling. I'm the owner of Starling Electric, born and raised in Trenton, and a local contractor. And tonight the council was saying that they want to keep contracting businesses local, and I agree with that. And over the years, I've done work with the city and never had any problems money-wise, no complaints as far as work or anything. And this last bid that came up for the electrical services for the city of Trenton, I myself, and I think it was maybe 4 or 5 other bids, were submitted, and I had the lowest bid. And it was tabled and never brought back up. And I'm just wondering, if I'm local and if you want to keep it local, I don't understand what happened. And that's really all I had to say.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Seth Udal Arathinament.
You may continue, Mr. Conlon.
Yes, and Mr. Arathinament has departed the meeting. So next we have Ms. Mary Horn.
Go right ahead, Ms. Horn.
Hi, good evening, Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm hearing a lot about Cabwater Park. In my opinion, like we all can have one, vehicles should be allowed, like previously, to ride through the park. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. What is really the issue why we have to gate the park? We have hired park rangers. We have people who are responsible for cleaning the park. If there's an issue with people coming in and littering and trash with the park, let's talk about that. Let's hold the people accountable for cleaning up behind themselves, if that's the issue. But people should be allowed to ride through the park with their kids in there. And if there's an issue, signage, put the signage up for designated areas. You know, you park here, and some people go in the park just to sit there and read a book or whatever they have to do. Not all people are in the park to destroy the park and trash the park. You know, I don't see an issue with that. And if it is, just bring it out, and the elephant in the room. So having to say that, I'm hearing a lot about race baiting. Come on now. We have people that come on this line, they call names, they disrespect the females, they say whatever they want to say, and then put it all on that someone else is race baiting. What are you doing? You know, you say don't make it about race, but what are you doing? You may call it a different name, but it's one and the same. So please don't come on here and try to sway the public and say, oh, it's all about race baiting. They're saying this or they're making it about race. Let's call it what it is, okay? That park belongs to everyone. And I've never seen anything like this before. I spent a whole summer cleaning up the children's playground because I was told by Maria Richardson there were only 2 people working to clean the park and the other areas in the city to clean up the parks. So I'm hoping we corrected that. You know, it's not the people's problem. We pay taxes. Some of us more than others, but none the same, whether it's a nickel or a dime. We all pay taxes. And that park is a public park, so let's call it what it is. If you have an issue with someone being there with trash, or you want to call it destroying the park, because that's not everyone. If you have an issue with the ATVs, then put the signage up. There's already laws in place for them not to be riding through there or on the city streets. Okay, so let's enforce it. But in no time and nowhere that no one should be allowed access to that park. And you can say park and walk in there. We all know that around that area, Parkside Avenue, Hillcrest, Stuyvesant, there is a parking issue. Sometimes I have to come to my street and park down the road, and I have to walk to my home. That shouldn't be. You know, that's a parking issue for me. So there's no way that all these people in the city of Trenton are going to be able to walk from and find a parking space. You know, most people just want to drive through. So let's call it what it is and take the elephant out the room. You know, and I please, for heaven's sakes, stop talking about the race baiting thing, because if we see it as it is, then let's call it that, okay? And thank you, and that's all I got to say tonight. Thank you.
Council President, Ms. Sherry Garrett.
Oh, go right ahead, Ms. Garrett.
Thank you, Council President McBride and the council.
You can't, you're not being
You're
heard.
very low, ma'am. Can you speak up?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
And
you.
I'm also looking for some background noise, so bear with
You want
me.
me to wait?
No, please go ahead, and I'll find them.
Okay. Thank you, Council President McBride and the council body. Okay. It was in the paper. I looked at Trenton Orbit. So a lot of stuff I'm not going to regurgitate, but I'm going to go right there. Thank you, Michael Rinaldo and Bill Kearney, but I'm going to take it there, okay? First of all, Council President did not say that what you didn't listen, for one thing, because you were too busy trying to make it seem like she was misinforming or making statements misstating the facts. She never said that. All she said was they approached her before Councilwoman Vaughn and Councilman Rodriguez got to the park, and they told her it was closed. That's exactly what she said. She said she saw you walking in the park. She never said anything about your race, but you took it there because of the fact Councilwoman is black. You also took it there, just like Joe Harrison, just like...
Ms. Garrett, we can't hear you again.
You still can't hear me? I got to take
Now we can hear you. Now you're back. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, just like George Michel, the issue that you all have with President Councilwoman McBride is she has a very strong following in Trenton. All of you are trying to have people that each time she comes out, she does a landslide. She has a lot of support in Trenton, okay? But all of you want those voters to back you. So you're doing everything you can to discredit her in her role. You're discrediting also Councilwoman Vaughn. You're also discrediting Councilman Rodriguez. All of them had very strong followings in Trenton. But the two women, black women, since y'all want to put it out there, because I do not talk about race, but the two black women on city council, y'all are very threatened by their following. So what you do is you use the newspaper as well as Mayor Gutierrez, who goes to the bars at night and go to all these events that nobody freaking know who the hell he is, and sit there with people and make like he's so, wonderful and cool, and I'm down with you, okay? All that crap. You try to bait her, all their followers or people who support them in Trenton. They didn't get there overnight. People didn't follow these women overnight, okay? So I don't know what the problem is, and as I said to Joe Harrison and George Michelle, you all and with the mayor and Gerald Blakeley, okay, are trying to diminish their reputation in Trenton because you're courting their voters, okay? But it's not going to work. It's not working. And Michael Ronaldo, you want to be on city council, okay? But you can't even take accountability because you're out of control. Do you think we want any more Joe Harrison, George Michelle, and Gerald Blakeley back on council? Heck to the no. Okay? All right?
Heck to the no.
And Council President McBride did not attack you. All she said was you were walking in the park with a woman and a dog. That's all she said. And then you screaming she a liar, she this, she that, call her all out of her name. Like, what the heck? You didn't even take accountability. They told her the park was closed. That's all she said. Now you telling her she should have handled it this way, she should have did this, she should have did that. Just like that incident when Gerald Blakey called her out of her name, and one of the participants that her family put together in her behalf said something about the mayor. Everybody came all out and talked about how
Shut up.
Apologize about what somebody else has said. But
Point
I
of
ain't
order.
heard nobody, I haven't heard nobody say that Michael Ronaldo should apologize to the
Clerk Conlon, stop this. This is not permitted.
I can't.
Conlon, would you please mute him?
I can't find him, ma'am. He's got to help.
Council President McBride.
Mr. Conway, see, this is the type of...
I was completely warned against this before I spoke, and this has gone on for minutes. This is insanity.
Mr. Conlon, step him down.
Public comments.
Mr.
I have no
Conlon,
rights.
excuse me, Ms. Garrett, please. First, you need to calm down. And second of all, Mr. Ronaldo need to be respectful. When he was talking, no one said a word. Now, I will bar you from this council meeting if you cannot get your act together. No one disrespected you. No one said a word. Allow Ms. Garrett to finish her statement. Ms. Garrett, if you would take it down a notch to complete...
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. But you want to be on city council making decisions for people in Trenton. You're not even qualified. Go sit down.
You either.
And then you reporting on Trenton Orbit. You ain't even reporting the facts. And then Joe Harrison, I don't know if it was him who you said on the recording on your Facebook, he texted you and you supposed to be in city council. Stop courting Council President McBride and Councilwoman Vaughn, especially black voters. Okay? You want to make it about a racial issue because none of these bills, these resolutions, or any of this stuff y'all passing or you support to be passed don't benefit the black people in Trenton. And it don't even support some of the Caucasians in Trenton because they ain't all in agreement with you as well. Or the Latinos. That's it. Stop disrespecting Trenton Council President McBride and Councilwoman Vaughn. And I know Councilwoman Vaughn, sometimes she goes, I don't say nothing to her because y'all keep coming with the disrespect. You do, each time. Come on now. Cut the crap. It's not racism. Y'all too busy trying to implement this colonial system and trying to keep black people in check. And when you make statements that way, you say, oh, Councilwoman McBride and Councilwoman Vaughn and Councilman Rodriguez, stay in your place. You do what we tell you to do. You say what we tell you to say. You bend over when we tell you to bend over. That's really what you say. Stay in your lane, black people. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Collins, you may continue.
Yes, Council President. Next, we have the party at 609-396-2050. Can you identify yourself for the record, please?
Yes, Mr. Conlon, it's Faith Ann Pearson.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Council President Faith Ann Pearson.
Go right ahead, Ms. Pearson.
Thank you. I do want to say that I think today, not like Tuesday, everyone seemed to be a lot better in control of themselves and had better rapport. What I heard Tuesday was just childish. I just want to comment that everything so far today, I'm very pleased. We need to see more of this, especially with the election coming up. A lot of people are getting tired and don't want to hear it. And if you want the votes, you've got to show yourselves both here at City Council, at the City Council meetings, and everywhere else in the city. Now, as far as the ordinances, I am tremendously glad that some of them are getting passed. I did need to get a hold of Chief Richardson today to ask some questions, which I will try to call her tomorrow in referencing to the parks. Other than that, I hope everyone has a healthy year ahead and a great evening tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Conlon?
Yes, ma'am. Council President, next we have Morris Shahid.
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Shahid.
Good evening, Council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I just want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak. I've had the opportunity to live in South Dakota, Utah, Virginia, and I just want to say of all the places I've lived, Trenton is by far the dirtiest. Trash is everywhere, glass bottles, discarded bed mattresses. The city parks are filthy. Many of the city street lights have been out. You know, as a resident of Trenton, we deserve a clean and prosperous city. I'm not happy with the direction of my hometown. The city has just continued to degenerate under this administration. And I'm going to just say something about Cowwater Park. As for the park, you know, the park must comply with the American with Disabilities Act. You know, this is about accessibility, and persons with disabilities should not have to walk through a fence in order to enter the park. That's what this issue is about. It's about accessibility, and that's a major concern for me as a resident of Trenton. City Council President McBride, you are accurate for calling out the administration for not holding a public hearing prior to installing this enclosure. And that's all I have to say. So, Council President, stay the course. You have a lot of support in this community, and I'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Conlon. You may continue.
Council President, next we have Ms. Vanessa Sullivan.
Yes, go right ahead, Ms. Sullivan.
Hi, yes, my name is Vanessa Sullivan, and I currently live in the of Trenton, and I've lived there all my life. And I would like for City Council to consider the working poor in Trenton. And I hear a lot of talk about the parks. And even if y'all was to fix every park in the city of Trenton, that's still not enough. Our children need more. We need more activities. We need more places to go. I see more abandoned houses than things for our children to do. And it's very sad because it's so dangerous out here. And I would like for the city council, the administration to shake hands, whatever it is, swallow your pride, come together. And I hope and pray that not another mother in the city of Trenton has to bury their child, because it's nothing for our youth to do. And it's very sad. And poor people in the city of Trenton, we need more opportunities. And I wish that you would consider, and thank you for the opportunity for letting me speak for this short time.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Council President Alicia Wilson.
Pardon me?
Alicia Wilson.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello. Thank you, Trenton City Council. I just came forward. I had a couple questions. One being, I was wondering why we were still having viral city council meetings when City Hall was open again. I asked this because I feel as though a lot of the issues that happen on here, I was born in Trenton, raised in Trenton, and I left and joined the military and came home and been trying to keep current with my city. And I see a lot of back and forth on here, and it's really disheartening to see that the city council can't get together or get it together and get along with each other, and it's almost embarrassing. And I would hope that if you guys were in the same room, maybe some of that, I guess, miscommunication through the computer would be lost, and you would be able to get a lot more things done. And that's me hoping that that's what it is just pure miscommunication and not a matter of, not a matter of you guys actually having genuine issues with each other. I'm sorry. But I was wondering why it's still done on Zoom calls when everything else seems to be open to the public. Is that something that can't be answered right now, or?
Ms. Wilson, if you send an email to my office tomorrow, I will get you an answer. This is the public comment is not a Q&A. You normally would have to seek leave from the council president to get the answer, but I'd much rather give you a detailed answer, consult with Dr. Lopez, and get you a salient answer to your problem. You can email me at clerk@trentonnj.org or call me tomorrow in my office, and I'd be happy to answer it. But normally, public comment is not a Q&A.
Okay, well then I'll just close with saying that maybe if there was a little bit more communication on here instead of yelling and bickering back and forth, if you saw how Trenton views these videos, it is rather embarrassing that we can't get it together and communicate like adults. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You.
Ladies and gentlemen, anybody else that wish to be heard for public portion for tonight? Council President, I would like to exercise my constitutional right to public portion. I will be brief.
There is another woman that you missed, Cheryl Snyder.
Ms. Snyder just raised her hand. I just saw that. Council President Cheryl Snyder.
Go right ahead, Ms. Snyder.
Thank you, Council President Bond and Council President McBride. Okay. So I'm calling, Mr. Collin, forgive me again for commenting when you wanted to comment. I won't be long. I just want to say something behind Vanessa Sullivan. This is a woman that lived in the East Trenton neighborhood, North Ward, and had a newspaper article printed about her in the New York Times. From that article, her life was picked up, and with herself and her family, and moved over into Princeton. I don't know, they wanted to help. this woman and her kids find a nice place to stay. So they moved them over to Princeton. But that was temporary. Now this poor family is back in Trenton. Now, probably in the worst predicament than they started from. The predicament has gotten so bad that her son was walking from work and was shot. Thank God he's still with us. So Vanessa is only asking that she be able to buy an abandoned building.
Excuse me, Miss Snyder.
Yes.
I think I don't think that you can go into that conversation, because once you do, you place this council at a serious disadvantage, and it will not be in the best interest of Miss Snyder for you to move in, for Miss Sullivan, for you to move any further with that line or that statement that you are about to make. You recognize your parameters, please.
So should I start with that comment?
I believe you should. You do not want to place her at a disadvantage.
I most certainly don't, and I will start with that comment because I want all but nothing but the best for Vanessa and her family, and I want nothing but the best for my city of Trenton and my council members. It's sad that we come on the council meetings and we hear a lot of bickering and arguing. Without all that arguing, I think we can probably move forward of doing the city's business. But as Ms. Faith Ann Pearson said, we can't do that separated. We need to come together. Put all our differences aside and just get to doing the business of the city. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President, Mr. Darren Freedom Green.
Go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, Council President McBride, Council members, Darren Freedom Green. So really just 3 quick points. To all the constituents who tune into these meetings, we really have to stop approaching the city of Trenton as if we're victims. When we talk about how filthy it is, when we talk about how it looks, the first form of any form of resurrection or correction starts in the mirror. So we really need to stop complaining about things that we as citizens can do ourselves. How many times has the city put out information in regards to when the trash is not being picked up, and we as citizens sit right there and watch our neighbors put it out and then leave it out there all week long. And then we wonder why the city remains filthy in the manner that it does. It's each of us simply just cleaned up right in front of our own homes, our own houses, and built relationship with our neighbors where we ourselves can become the greatest force on the planet, cleaning up and refining our own communities. Then again, cleaning up and refining wouldn't become an event, which we do now where you put balloons and have cookouts. No, refinement and cleanliness is next to godliness. And if we want God in our community, clean it up. Don't look for the city or council members to do that. We ourselves have to become forced to do that of our own. And when we approach this forum and talk like victims, that's why we keep being victimized. Second, I'm concerned and don't want to point fingers at the clerk, but the issue in regards to the small businesses and the licenses, I'm hoping the council members have addressed that issue. It is a perspective for me when we look internally, as many of the small businesses here are now exiting Trenton. They feel like the pandemic is taking them out, feel like there's no vision coming from the administration. And again, when we start talking about externally, if people aren't looking at our city and seeing on the front page a nightmare every time it comes across there, why would they be entailed or enticed to come here and want to interact or produce business, whether they be philanthropists or corporations or institutions? We've got to do a better job in making sure our city government and governance is operating as an effective and efficient machine. And to me, that's part of council's role there, working with the administration to make sure there's a comprehensive unit that's moving Trenton to be what it should be, which is a pristine capital city. Last but not least, in terms of Catwater Park, again, I won't get into the incident with the council president and other council members, but if we're going to be honest about it, all summer, the park has been closed. You have the big white bricks that are sitting there, and the only way you can go through the park is on foot and really on bikes. I've been to Philadelphia, to Fairmount. I've been in New York at Central Park. Both of these places are 9 times the size of Trenton, and the parks are open all the way around. So what is it about this capital city where we can't seem to have our parks open for the constituents who actually pay taxes to keep that park clean? Now, I do agree that as community members and advocates, we need to do a better job at educating people, because the dirt bikes and the four-wheelers are a problem. We do have people standing around drinking alcohol. We need to correct that at the grassroots level. But our parks should be open all year round, and especially Catwalder Park, which is the sister of Central Park in New York. It used to be the catalyst for drawing people here. We had events out there. We had vendors out there. We had the boat rides out there. We had the animals out there. And now the park has become an eyesore. I think the city, Director Richardson, has done an amazing job of cleaning it up, but the park should never be closed. And the offensive part, and I'll close on this note, during the summer, whether this council knows it or not, there were 2 concerts done at Catwater Park. And when I went out there on my bike, all the white bricks and all the roads were out of the way, and the park was exclusively wide open for those 2 days. What message is being sent to the citizens when people who don't even live here can come here and have access to a park we paid for, but it was closed down? And again, when the concert was over, the very next day, I went back out there on my bike again, and the white bricks were back in place. So I guess when people from out of town come, they can have access to the park. And when the people who live here, we can't have access to anything. So we need a whole new thing. I'm not going to campaign on here. I'm going to do my thing in a few months and announce where I'm going from. But I want people to become more educated, empowered, and engaged when they come on this forum, and stop talking about what council members are doing and start talking more about what we should be doing as citizens on the concrete grassroots level if we really want the capital city to return from being trifling to being triumphant. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Amen. Amen.
Council President, Mr. Paul Harris had his hand up. I didn't know if he wanted to still speak. Mr. Harris, do you still want to speak, sir? Yes, Mr. Paul Harris, Council President.
Yeah, hi, good evening. I wanted to just talk about something a little more basic. Wanted to thank everyone for speaking. You do have, we all have First Amendment rights. Even the ones who haven't been to the meetings are showing up and want to be on council when the vacancy occurs. It's funny to hear certain people show up and speak out all of a sudden. We've had issues for years. But you're about to lose a member of council. And regardless of how you feel about that person, that individual, Councilman Blakeley, was a critical vote on a lot of issues, a lot of basic issues. And I just want you to know, because I often speak about employees. A lot of us are concerned here about where we're going. And I'd ask, all we need is 1 or 2 of you to do some, to take a look at yourself and ask yourself, what role are you going to play over the next 11 months? Because now that we're losing a critical vote, what cannot happen is votes for cap banks, transfers, emergency contracts to fail, because now it's a tie, or because we appoint someone who is in a particular camp, because then business will grind to a halt. That is critical for us. I'd ask you, are you going to continue to be the no vote, or are you going to ask yourself, listen, we need to move Trenton forward? Say what you want about Jarrell Blakeley, but he cast many votes on many important issues over the last 4 years, 3 years and change.
Yeah, don't do it anymore. I'm going to hear this.
So my recommendation, my strong recommendation is, listen, we need to move forward. DCA is on this call right now. They've been on every call. My fear is that we're going to be pushed in a direction where folks want to make political statements, and where we're going to be is we're going to be deadlocked 3-3, and those votes are going to fail on this basic business of the city of Trenton. We cannot allow that to happen, because people who think they're going to take control, you're not going to have any power at all, because the state's going to step right in here. Let's show them that we can lead. We don't need to vote on everything. You don't need to vote in affirmative for everything, but on the basic issues, Robin, you always are laughing. You're always laughing, Robin. Show some respect. This is all you do.
Councilwoman.
It's a free country. I can laugh. Who is he?
Yes, but
Actually, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my hands on mute.
Well, mute yourself.
I'm sorry.
Mute yourself. Mr. Harris, you may continue.
Thank you. And Council President, thank you for speaking up, because I have no problem speaking, but for those people who are intimidated, that kind of gesture that she does at every single meeting where she laughs or she makes statements, it may push some people away. My point is this. There's a lot of business to be taken up in the city of Trenton, basic business. Forget the extraordinary things that we should be doing, just basic business to keep the lights on. All I'm asking is that those of you who have consistently voted no, ask yourself, do I want to continue to be a no vote over the next 11 months? And again, as I mentioned at the previous meeting, the Bank Ordinance is a critical ordinance that needs to be passed. Council and the administration worked collaboratively on contracts for all of our unions. We brought those things to you. You're not happy with some, there could be more, but listen, those contracts cost millions of dollars. The Cap Bank is the tool that allows us to continue to pay for those kind of contracts. That's all this is. That's why we wanted that vote to happen before, because that, again, that was something that's regular business, routine business across the state of New Jersey that was politicized. And with that vote that we're losing, it'll be 3-3 now. Again, routine business. This isn't sexy what I'm talking about, because again, this is just keeping the lights on. It's just keeping the lights on. And we've shown from time to time, we can't even do that. The water and plant is going to be, do you know what water will be in 50 years? It will be what oil is. That filtration plant will be worth billions of dollars. Every contract they bring to you, you should look at it, inspect it, but you should approve it. You want the best filtration plant in the world. Because let me tell you something, your grandchildren will appreciate the decisions you're making now on that plant. That's an example of why we need to work together to get our act together and put politics aside. Because listen, you can still run and do what you're going to do, but you want a strong foundation. The water is our strongest foundation we have. That's an example. Listen, I know you get tired of me talking, but someone needs to speak up for employees, and we're concerned. We're concerned over the next 11 months. I thank you for your time. Robin, you're a disgrace.
You're a sellout. You're a sellout.
Please make the comment.
That's okay. I'll be okay. For employees, I'll say what needs to say, okay?
Sellout.
Continue to laugh at people when they speak, Robin Vaughn. Okay, tap dancing. I'm going to tap dance when they tap dance you out of the office.
Well, you didn't make office though, right? They didn't make it. You didn't make it.
Can you mute yourself from public comment?
I mean, you got 200 votes.
Public comment, Councilwoman Vaughn, please.
Oh, yes,
Mr. Collins, you may continue. Please mute yourself, Councilwoman Vaughn. This is public comment.
Thank you, Council President. I'm done.
Ladies and gentlemen, does anybody else wish to speak during public portion? Council President, may I be yielded the floor?
Yes, Mr. Collins.
These comments are my own as Matthew Conlon, not as city clerk or as an employee of the city of Trenton. And I actually told the council president recently that I would not be making any further public comments. But I asked her tonight just because this is an important issue. I will be donating a full day's pay to a violence against women's organization. I urge and ask that my fellow male directors, the mayor, and male politicians in the city of Trenton likewise donate a full day's pay to a violence against women organization. There's a reason for that. And I'm asking them for the reason that there seems to be tacit approval of misogynistic statements and acts of violence against especially female political figures in the city of Trenton. And I find it to be extremely inappropriate. I come from a family where I had an abused mother. I have seen violence in other aspects of my family, and I absolutely have worked my entire life to abate as much violence against women as is humanly possible. I am going to play something right now with the rest of my public comment under my constitutional rights. This is a tape that went out to thousands of people that was emailed to me privately with, what are you going to do about this? This is your city. This tape It does contain curse words. I ask that if you have children that are listening, that you ask them to leave the room. I'm doing this under my First Amendment constitutional authority. Once again, the comments are my own, not as city clerk and not for this on behalf of the city of Trenton. The tape is something that was broadcast out over Facebook Live on Tuesday, and this is the reason for my donation of a full day's pay to an organization to be determined that protects violence against women. I'm also asking once again for my fellow male directors for the city of Trenton and male elected officials to donate a full day's pay to a Women Against Violence organization. I think it needs to be done at this time. I'm going to play the tape for the rest of my public portion. Please judge for yourselves.
They want to suck the money out of the city and don't tell me about it. It says that MPS had and no one is talking about that. So before you start talking about but the meeting is about not have concern unless it's so stop the nonsense and tell us when last thing is over there in that radio room. And talking about academic bribery. First of all, I don't even know what diamond is. But that's just indicative of violence. You can tell me what I can read and then trump up things that I've never heard of before a day in my life. But that's what you've been doing. All year. But it's, the buck stops here with me. You won't tell me where to go, and you will not tell me that I can't meet my colleagues in the park to talk about the closure and the lockdown of a city park. That whole story is bullshit. Moving this city forward, how can the city forward when the mayor picking off the council and the council voting like the mayor want them to vote instead of looking at checks and balances. Checks and balances. He has drug us into court. Millions of dollars. I've never had none of you coming here complaining about millions of dollars out of the taxpayers. And then they had a nerve to say tonight, oh, we can't help it that we can't, we got to do an accelerated tax sale because people won't pay their taxes. And when people pay their taxes, and you have the mayor dragging the council into court, spending millions of dollars, that money would have been to aid the city. You wouldn't have to get a cap raise. But no, you don't want to check him. Do your homework. Go look at all the lawsuits that he's filed against this council. Add the dollar amount up. It is well over $5 million. I just want to jump in and say that whole story she said was a lie. And say, hey, the city can't move forward. No, it won't move forward. The mayor and those lawsuits that he has lost every time he's drug us into court. We were even in court today, and they wanted to get more money out of the city for the radio room on top of the $10 million that we've already allocated. That entire park story that Captain McBride said is lying to you all. You better shut him down, Mr. Conlon. He is lying to all of you. You better shut him down because he knew that park was closed. That's that Mike Ronaldo. He knew the park was closed. And Mr. Rivera enabled his microphone again. Mr. Rivera, do not enable his microphone again, sir. Mr. Rivera, you'll be dealt with too. Okay. I didn't enable anyone's microphone. I don't put up with your nonsense. I didn't enable anyone's microphone. Okay, I disabled it, so somebody had to. So I am saying this once again. Get out to Cottonwaters Park and take those barriers down. Take those fences down. That's a public park. It is for the residents in the city of Trenton. It is not for one man and his family and their pet. We have 84,000 residents that would like to visit that park. We put a brand new pavilion up and the people can't even enjoy it and lock them out of the park. It is not shame on you. It's reality world. Shame on you. Unmute me again. And as far as that radio room is concerned, get Motorola in here and give a report. Not no captain that sat there and allowed the radio years. This is why the city can't move forward. Again, I want to see those barriers down. I want to see them coming down tomorrow. And I want to see Motorola here giving a report. On when all of these radios will be in place over there in that radio room. When the monitors will be up, when the 911 system will be implemented. We need to know these things.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't need to play anymore. You just heard the council president referred to in a public broadcast that went out to apparently thousands of people as a nasty bitch and a stupid asshole, and fuck you, Kathy McBride. And please forgive me for repeating those words. I will be donating a full day's pay. I'm calling upon my fellow male employees at the director level or elected politicians to donate a full day's pay to a violence prevention organization against women. Council President, I am very sorry to have repeated that, but it struck me so strongly when I did not know about that during the broadcast. Someone had emailed it to me. A lot of people have actually commented on it, and I am very sorry that it was broadcast. I had no ability to stop that. I will be contacting Facebook to actually try to eliminate that site at this point in time because of the violence against women that it is perpetrating. Once again, I will be donating a full day's pay of my pay to a violence against women. I am asking and encouraging other elected officials and male directors to do the same. Thank you very much. My public portion is over.
I move to close public comment.
Second.
I have a motion by Council President McBride to close public comment, and I have a second by Ms. Vaughn.
Last evening with us, so he'll do his civic comment just before mine. So I'll start with Councilwoman Vaughn and let her start. And so Councilman Blakeley could be the last to give his civic comment based on his departure from the council. Councilwoman Vaughn, go right ahead.
Yes. I just want everybody to know that, I take my job on city council seriously. And everybody who has worked with me over the past 4 years knows that. Whether you worked with me offline, if you made a phone call to me, if I was asked to help resolve issues, I get it done. And I look to a lot of help from my colleagues, and everyone that I've worked with here on council has always been available for me, whether we disagree or agree. That includes Council President McBride, Vice Chair Caldwell Wilson. I've even worked with George Michel on occasion, not of late, but I have. Jarrell as well. So I'm very disappointed in my community, though, and I echo some of the sentiments that Mr. Freedom Green mentioned, that we all have an individual responsibility. And we have to always remain focused. And I'm very disappointed that folks use our council meetings as an opportunity to come and really speak on things that are that just don't matter. That just don't matter. Okay? So folks think that they live in a district with people that look like them and only them, that they only have the voice across the city. And they're entitled to resources. They're entitled to the government. They're entitled to opportunities, jobs, the public parks, and things like that. I always remind folks that the city of Trenton is now, they say, 90,000 people large. And in that population, Black African Americans are the largest population. Here in the West Ward, now we have 17 districts. We used to have 16 prior to the change, the ward. So in those 16 wards, there are a lot of folks who have an opinion about Calwater Park. That ain't just the folks that live in Hiltonian, okay? And it ain't the folks who just live in the on the island. Okay, so I just wanted to read a couple of comments or emails and posts that I received regarding this matter about the closure of Calwater Park and the barriers that have been put up with do not enter signs on them. Do not enter signs. And ironically enough, I spoke to Mike Rinaldo in the park that day. And I told Mike, it's another thing to put up barriers. Then you put up signage that says do not enter. You don't even put up a signage that reflects the city code and the laws of the city about when vehicular traffic is allowed, what hours, which gates are closed, when the park is closed, sun up, sundown, nothing. You go to Central Park in New York, there's crime in Central Park. Folks are robbed, their bikes are hijacked, people get knocked off bikes stolen, rapes and everything else. But New York City never closes that park. Okay? And they have a demographic that is diverse as ours. You go to Fairmount Park in Philadelphia, ATVs riding all over the place. No matter how many barriers you put up, ATVs can ride on any surface. They can go around those barriers. So all this issue about all these comments about, it's the ATVs, this is that. We all know what the underlying issue is. You don't want the populace of Trenton with its majority black and Latino in that park. You're only happy unless the few people, white people who live in the Hiltonia neighborhoods have access to that park. Folks are so tone deaf and so insensitive to this community and the people that live here. It's beyond absurd. It's absolutely laughable to think that you are the only ones who can come in that park. I look at that park, it's empty. You got police officers over there, you got rangers over there. Nobody can go over there. Even the disabled. Now disabled, how are they going to get into the park? How are they going to walk over there? But just too insensitive to even think about them. So some woman emailed me talking about, I walk over there every day with my friends and they're senior citizens. Well, any of your senior citizens are disabled? Okay? But I'm going to read some of the concerns of other people who live in other neighborhoods across the city of Trenton. And they said, one woman wrote, I liked the park when it was open to traffic. I would ride in and park, go to the museum or sit in my car and read a book. Everybody that goes or went to the park was not there for negativity. We enjoyed family events and community events. Street parking is an issue because it's in a residential area. It is obvious what the underlying issue is. The underlying issues, we all know what the underlying issue is. They don't want black people congregating in the park. Just like when they saw me, Kathy McBride, and Sancho Rodriguez. We were two African Americans and a Latino, and they didn't like us there. We were racially profiled. We were told to leave. Okay? So that was one. So she continued to say, it is obvious what the underlying issue is. That's right. And this is from an African American Trentonian all her life. Okay? It's about keeping some out. And we know who those some persons are. They're black people. The one other one I want to read very quickly. Excuse me, hurry up. Another gentleman, African American, wrote, if I remember correctly, that park had always been locked to its population. The population of the city is black people he's referencing, especially the section it's minority white lived in, and that's up there by the Hill Vista area. Everybody knows it. And as far as them keeping an eye on its minority elected, that's their God-given right. And it didn't just start with us, y'all, meaning this council. What else do they do to exclude black people, the population, the majority populations in the city of Trenton? And I sat on this council for the past 4 years. I can go down the list as to how this community has been disenfranchised, how it's been excluded, how it's been marginalized. And I will continue to stand with Council President McBride in this fight to get those barriers removed and get Mayor Reed Gussior to follow the city code as it relates to public parks and the federal regulations and laws that govern public parks in this country and then in the state. So you're not going to discriminate citizens from public parks. And that's what is happening here, and that is the issue. And I will end with that I want all residents of this city to come to the council meetings and talk about the issues, talk about what's on the docket, talk about the fact that the gun violence, talk about improving your community, keeping it clean, talk about the parks. I haven't heard anybody talk about the issue in the park except for the council members and a few white members of our community that lives in the community that I'm talking about, that the park in Hiltonia, whereby they walk out of their doors and go to the park, okay? Whereas folks from North Trenton, South Trenton, East Trenton just can't walk out their door, and they got to bring their cars over and they have to park. They can't park on my street. I live right across the street from the park. So the traffic is just impossible. But I challenge Trentonians to come to the council meeting. You know, speak about the issues that impact your wallet, the local economy, your son's job, your husband's jobs, your school district. But you're too busy talking about things that don't matter, whether Robin Vaughn laughs or not, whether we get along or not. Talk about the roles and responsibilities of the mayor and whether your life is better off economically over the past 4 years since he's been in office and since his council been in office. So those are the things that you should be focusing on and talking about. Start holding your government accountable, your mayor, your council, your state assembly members, your county commissioners. No one comes and talk about those issues because you're too busy distracted by stuff that do not matter. So get woke, okay? Come prepared and talk about the issues, and then you can help move your street forward, your community forward, your family forward. Because, and particularly being an African American, those are the issues. Getting politically engaged, knowing the issues, getting out the vote, going to the ballot in November 2022. You need to know these issues. Elections coming up, a lot of people are running for office. Don't elect people into office that demean black women, that talk down to black women, okay? Don't elect those people into office, because if they do it to Council President McBride, they do it to me, they're going to do it to you too. So that's all I have to say, Council President. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I was muted. Councilman Rodriguez?
Oh, yes, I'll be brief. I concur with Councilwoman Vaughn on this issue. I have, for the past 3 years, I was sitting for about 2 years in the city council chambers, and then I'm listening here, insource against our women, left and right, insource against our council members, left and right, calling us senile, calling us stupid, and now there's other people running for council and calling, using that language against our women, and they are running for council, and they are complaining about us being fighting, using this and that language, but that's the example they are setting themselves. Oh, I did it because it was my phone. I forgot to mute myself. It was for Facebook. It wasn't. No, everybody heard that. Even if it's for Facebook, you don't do that. You don't. And you still have the guts to say that you're going to run for council like that? Come on. Hey, I was there at the park when all this situation started. I wasn't, the guy didn't, well, he said, well, the park is closed. I said, well, I'm going to drive there because I'm not going to, he said, oh, you have to park and walk all the way down. No, I'm not going to walk. It was wet. It was starting to snow, and I'm not going to walk all the way to where I'm going. This is a public park. That's it. He didn't try to stop me. He wasn't there. He wasn't there to try to stop me because, you know, I was going to walk there. 50 years ago, when I came to Trenton, I used to go and play softball at that portion of the park they call the hole. So it's like a hole. I remember people used to break their legs there, but that was the only part that the Latinos, the Puerto Ricans, because Puerto Ricans had available at that time. The rest were controlled by other people, so it was okay. It was our park. We call it our park. Parque de los Monos, we call it. Parque de los Monos. There's a monkeys park because there were some monkeys there, and there was some bear there, and there was some deer there, and it was nice. Everybody drove through and parked wherever it was parking, and we enjoyed. Like Ms. Bond said, you know, I was living way out on Perry Street, and people had to drive to get to Cowwater Park. It's not like Cowwater Park does not belong to Hiltonia or to the Hillcrest people or to the Parkside people or Delaware Heights, however they call it. No, that park belongs to the whole city. Everybody should be. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Ms. Bond. I'm surprised that there's not a swimming pool in the West Ward. We have, before I leave council, yes, I'm going to fight. We need a swimming pool in the West Ward, and if possible, hey, Cowwater Park or close to it. We have to give some entertainment to the youth in the West Ward. For years, the rec center was closed on the renovation for years. There's not much going on there for local park. If you go by where the kids play baseball, the West End League, there's a private, they play golf, they play whatever, basketball, a private entity there. I said, well, why don't we go there and play there? Oh, no, those people are from Ewing or somewhere else. And they fixed that up. And I said, but even to use the bathroom, you cannot use the bathroom if you're a Trentonian. Something has to be done about that. But they fixed it up. Yes, it looked very nice, but the basketball court right there where Michael used to have these teams, you know, which should bear his name. I was there when the mayor said, as soon as the league stops playing, we're going to fix it up. It's going to be brand new. I said, whoa, I was applauding. Good. As a matter of fact, Mayor, we should close it now and let them play somewhere else and rebuild it right now. You know, but that job have not started yet because there's some people from the BRS company that held up all the parks because they wanted their contract, and they've been holding up to the jobs in the park. They are not letting the contractor do anything because it's up to BRS. Whenever BRS feel like, that's when we're going to get the contract fixed. I've been there 3.5 years. We approved the monies. I said, there's no money. We approved money. We approved money for most of those projects that are in that list that BRS claims that they are doing. City Hall, we approved money for City Hall to fix up City Hall. I have not seen the job started because BRS is holding it because they wanted their contract. They wanted the $300,000. That's what's going on in Trenton. And I agree with Mr. Darren Green in what he said. Yes, it's our responsibility to clean. It's not council's duty to be going and picking up the garbage. It should be us. This is a city. Us. We're a community. We should be a community and clean behind us. Clean in the parks. Clean everybody. But we should not be keeping our residents from entering a public park and then come out and say, oh no, they were violating, those three council people were violating the rules. We were there because we were concerned and we wanted to see. I'm from the East Ward, but when I said, I want to see what's going on there. I'm going to see if I can drive through there or not. You know, I wanted to prove, but it is true. A disabled person can never get in that park. How are they going to? Oh, park your car and walk. That's what the guard told me. I said, no, sir. I'm driving. Do whatever you want to do, but I'm going to drive. I used to drive through here all the time. Not the first time. I always go to West Trenton. I've been every corner of West Trenton. When I was young, I used to go to Water Park, play baseball, and the people in West Trenton, they were very nice to me. I never had problems with the people in West Trenton. During the last elections, that was where I got the most votes, the West Ward. So I owe to the West Ward. And I've been fighting for the West Ward, yes, for West Hanover, Bellevue, Spring. Hey, Mayor Luciana, what happened with the 400 block of West Hanover? When are you going to tear down those dilapidated properties there? Bellevue, Spring, how about that? Okay, that's all I have to say.
Councilman Michelle?
Yes, I think
Can't hear.
Can you hear me?
Better.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, better.
For Jarrell Blake, we had her ups and downs. And you know,
Can't hear.
I can't hear you.
I can't.
Aaron's the whole time. All right, come back to me. Okay.
We can't hear.
You're cutting in and out.
I swear they do this on purpose. I swear to God. 27.
I'm dialing in right now.
Welcome to the audio conference. Please enter a conference ID followed by
What's going on?
He's dialing
Michelle's
back
calling
in
it so you can hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes, we can.
All right, you can hear me now. For Jarrell Blakely.
Yes, we can.
For Jarrell Blakely, we had our ups and downs. I wish you well in your new journey to success. And going back to council, being a council person for 11 years, pretty upset for Tuesday's meeting that I couldn't even speak. I never heard in my life that a council person could not speak at a council meeting. This was totally wrong. We never can move the city forward if we're going to continue this way. I feel strongly we have 1 year to go, and if we get together, which it don't look good, we can do something with the city of Trenton. I just want to tell you, I went out there to Walter Park, and after 2 years, and I don't want to pat on the back because I do this all the time. 2 years, the lights are out. 2 weeks, the lights are fixed. 39 lights were put on. Everything's up and running. If you go out there tonight and you look out there, plus we need 3 poles that'll be replaced. We stick together, we can make something happen here. Councilwoman Vaughn stopped me one time coming through the park. She had a problem. I corrected the problem the next day. So I don't want to stand here and fight with everybody. I got a year left. I'm not running. I'm trying to make the city better. And whatever individuals need help in, North Ward, the one at the statue cleaned up, that sat for 2 years. 2 years. The statue was filthy, dirty, painted up. 2 weeks later, it was cleaned up. I'm working with public service, so everything gets squared away in Mill Hill. I'm out there for 1 year to help everybody that needs help. So call me if you need me, but let's stop the BS. What's going on here? It continued tonight. It's got to stop. Thank you very much. Good night.
Councilman Harrison.
I would like to say, again tonight now, we have council members attacking other people because of their race. It's ironic that the council person who's talking about race is the same one who made racist comments towards the Latino community. And Councilman Santiago never said a word about it. So the Latino community was upset, and they should be. They should be upset when any of us on this council make racist comments. We could agree to disagree. It's not attacking a person because they're a woman. It's going on the facts. There was a meeting on November 15th. Council members showed up. Some didn't show up. So if you didn't show up to the meeting, why? Good question. Why? You should have been there. I mean, Councilman Santiago was on vacation, but he called in for a 30-minute meeting, right? The League of Municipalities was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Special meeting was on a Monday. So at the end of the day, we have redevelopment. We had at least 7 cannabis companies that would have came here, brought jobs, pulled off the docket. Rolling 2 pulled off the docket. The Cap Bank, which we all voted for, that's not on the docket. So why are we talking about we're here for the people when we're truly not? I mean, are you? Because it seems like everybody's voting no against the people, against moving the city forward. People want to see things addressed, but they're not being addressed. People on this council want to be mayor, so they're taking shots, they're sabotaging the city, and that's what's going on here. Anybody can see it, plain and simple. I mean, tonight, we got attacked, me and Mr. Michelle, and I don't know what about a text message. I don't even know what that means. I have a clue. But at the end of the day, I go out there to help anybody and everybody, the same way Mr. Michelle does. So we have council members on here all the time who want to do grandstanding, right? But at the end of the day, only certain council members on here, Councilman Blakeley, Councilman Michelle, and myself, have been muted multiple times, told that we can't speak because, what, you don't agree with us. In life, you might not agree with somebody, but they have a right to speak. They have a right to speak. And that's how it should be. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we have hardworking directors that are getting attacked by this council. How does anybody in the public think that's okay? How do we think it's okay that Mr. Adam Cruz gets attacked? How is it okay to attack Maria Richardson, making comments about her? People are incompetent. There's corruption everywhere. Do we have evidence of that? We had a forensic audit, and there was nothing there. But then again, we just want to grandstand and just pummel on people and make stuff up over and over and over again. So at the end of the day, I'd like to know a question. When is this council going to have the meeting about the clerk? Is that ever going to happen, Council President? Are we ever going to have that meeting? Nobody seems to want to answer that question. I mean, it's unbelievable that the business owners that want their license, nothing's getting done. But at the end of the day, we want to blame the mayor, we want to blame everybody else. But this council, every meeting, directors are getting attacked. You're attacking each other. But guess what? It's kind of weird how we're getting attacked. The ones like George Michelle and myself who go out in the community and help out in the community, and we help anybody. It's unbelievable that we don't go do this giant grandstanding all the time. At the end of the day, we're here supposed to be working for the people. That's what this is about. But I don't think council members on here think that's what it's about. I think they think it's about being the next mayor or whatever else it may be. We should be doing our job to help the community move forward. People want jobs in this city. People want to see the roads fixed. You know what I mean? We keep voting down stuff over and over again. And guess what? You wonder why the city doesn't move forward, right? Council members on this council don't want to take responsibility because it's the city's failing, not the mayor. It's because council members don't want to do what the people want. They don't want to see us arguing. They want to see us getting things done. But it's not about that. It's about grandstanding. It's about whatever else it may be. But at the end of the day, there's work that needs to get done in the city. A lot of work, right? Every council member should be able to speak. We shouldn't be cut off. We shouldn't be muted. But at the end of the day, you know, it's kind of ironic, isn't it, that certain council members get attacked and nobody on the council says nothing, right? Council president never said anything about Mr. Michelle when he got attacked or when I got attacked or when Mr. Blakeley got attacked. Never happened. So at the end of the day, you said it's grandstanding. We know some of you are going to run for mayor, but you got to be kidding yourself. You haven't done anything to help the city move forward. And how? I mean, point blank, we had the hazard pay for the city workers. Got pulled off the docket, and I had to walk that back on. Wonder, why is that? Nobody seems to ever answer that question. Why was the hazard pay pulled off the docket, Council President? Maybe you can never answer that one of these days because it was on the docket, and then miraculously it got pulled off. Those are the city workers that were out during the pandemic working hard every day. The Public Works, the Trenton Water Works, the fire department, the police department, city workers. So we talk about that. You know what? At the end of the day, are we really concerned about the city or are we concerned about ourselves? Because at the end of the day, I go out there to help the community because I love the city, because I grew up here. And I grew up here because I want to see the betterment for kids, adults, seniors, everybody. I want to see the city move forward. But some of us on this council, all we're concerned about is talking the talk. Ain't never walking the walk. Now, some of you, if you grew up in this city, you know what that means. When people need help, you're supposed to help them. That's what it's about. It ain't happening. It isn't. Certain council members are talking it, but they're not doing it. And at the end of the day, Darrell, I want to wish you the best, man. Like I said, you're like a brother, man. I see how compassionate you are for the community and this city, and it's a blessing. So I wish you the best, my brother. Like I said, at the end of the day, we'll always be friends. We'll always be family. And I always will look up at the hard work you do for everybody, and that's to be commended. Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I have a couple of things that I want to say tonight. And, one thing that really concerns me is that this is election year and we have a lot of candidates out there. But my message is not just to the candidates that come to council meetings. It's to the administration and to my colleagues. Council meetings are work meetings to do the city business. They're not political forums. And everybody should refrain from getting political, saying who should run, who shouldn't run, or replace them all. That is not the purpose of a city council meeting. You can, as a candidate, can hold forums, political forums, or rallies, and you can say whatever you choose against each and every one of us. Because I'm having a serious problem in this council where we have council members that just air their dirty laundry out in public, who criticize other colleagues in public, when all of this can be handled one-on-one to straighten out our differences. And this is why this council cannot move forward in a professional manner, because you air everything out in public, and that is absolutely not necessary. And it's the same with the administration. So I just would like the community to understand that our meetings are not political forums. Mr. Collin, I thank you for your effort for violence against women. I've been on this council since 2010, and this past 3 years, I've received more verbal abuse and threats than I ever have, for no reason. And I think that anybody who says, well, they're against violence for women or against sexual harassment, then put your money where your mouth is and make a contribution. That's pretty much all I have to say. And it has not been a good time between myself and Councilman Blakeley in the past 3 years. We've had a lot of issues. But I just want to wish him well in his new venture. And thank you. That's all I have to say.
Councilman Blakeley.
Thank you very much, Council President McBride. I have a few remarks that I'd like to make. Trenton is my home. I was born and raised here, grew up here, graduate of the public school system, and I owe much of who I am to the city of Trenton. And I would like to state that I ran for office in Trenton to make a difference in my community. I would like to start by just thanking a few folks who were instrumental in me having the opportunity to serve the people of Trenton as a council person at large. First, I'd like to thank my family and my friends. Frank Rizzo, you'll probably be surprised with me quoting Frank Rizzo, but I was reading an autobiography of Frank Rizzo, and he stated that, you don't need support when things are sunny. You need them when things are bad. And my family and friends have been by my side on the sunny days and the rainy days. And I just want to say thank you for your support as I did my very best to make a positive contribution to my city. I'd like to thank the employees of this city. The people who work for this city really deserve a lot of praise, particularly their work over the last 3 years in the midst of a pandemic. From police officers to the health department, to the fire department, to folks who work throughout City Hall. You all really deserve a lot of credit for keeping this city afloat. And I just want to say thank you for doing all that you can. This city has been devastated by cuts going back a decade and more. And you have folks who
feel that they buy the car.
And can we find that person and mute them? I'm sorry, Mr. Blakeley, we were looking for them.
But not.
And so I would really like to thank, the city workers. Much of my constituent services could not be done without city workers. They were the ones who put the speed bumps and cleaned the empty lots and dealt with concerns that I brought to their attention. I'd also like to thank the administration. Reed and his directors are doing a lot. I will say that Reed and his directors deserve a lot of credit for their work over the last few years. It's a very difficult job, and I want to say thank you to the directors. There's so many directors to name, but I have had really great relationships with the directors that have allowed me to serve my constituents. And I'd like to say, you all don't get paid nearly as much money as you should to deal with the headache that you have to, but your service to the city of Trenton is respected and admired, and I appreciate the work that we've been able to do to make a difference in the city. Penultimately, I'd like to say a few words about this city council. This job is hard. It's not glamorous, and I know that we have had major disagreements. But I will say that I know that all of you care about the city of Trenton in your own special ways. And I will tell you that I have learned something from every single one of you. I've learned something, and I could say something good about every single one of you because I think that, a lot of people want your seats, but I can say that, people will have an opportunity to vote in November. But, this job is not glamorous. It's very hard. And I know all of you in your own way want to make a difference and have made a difference in the city of Trenton. And I know, particularly I want to say, Council President McBride, I know we have had our disagreements, but I know you care about the city. You've been active in this city as an activist for 50 years. And I just want you to know that, I'm going to be thinking of you and the rest of my council colleagues as I transition to my new opportunity in the Midwest. Finally, I'd like to thank the residents of the city of Trenton. 2,745 people. That number will be forever embedded in my brain. Those were the folks who voted for me. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of them for supporting me and allowing me to have the opportunity to make a positive contribution to my city. I've learned a tremendous amount from being on this council. It's often said that the hotter the fire, the stronger the steel. And I can say that the fire has been hot on this council. I have lessons from this council that I will take with me for the rest of my life. Contrary to public accounts, we were able to do a lot at this council. We were able to hold the line on taxes. We've made major investments in the Trenton Waterworks. We have a brand spanking new cannabis ordinance that will hopefully revitalize our downtown. As well as doing all of that, we've dealt with the COVID-19 pandemic, where we have supported an apparatus that has tested thousands of Trentonians and has given access to health care to thousands of Trentonians who have needed it. And so I'd like to end with a story. In college, I met Marion Barry, the former mayor of Washington, D.C., and I introduced myself and I shared with him that I was interested in municipal government in my hometown of Trenton. And he told me something that I would never forget. He said that the power was in the people. And it truly is. One byproduct of this pandemic has been an increased interest in politics. Pre-COVID, we may have had 10, 20 people in our council meeting. Now we have hundreds of Trentonians listening to this council meeting as we speak. I am hopeful that the times we in lead to an increase in voter participation in the city of Trenton, that the democratic process, the lowercase d democratic process prevails, and that, Trenton becomes the city that we know that it can be. I truly wish the city the best. In the last few days of my time on council, I will be addressing some outstanding constituent requests. And I just want to say, I never thought I would say this, and I'm kind of getting emotional, but I want to say that I will miss all of you. My family still lives here. My mom, my dad, aunts, uncles, they all live here, and I truly want the best for the city of Trenton. And I believe, Martin Luther King, I'll end with this. Martin Luther King once said that only when it's dark enough can you see the clouds. And so, can you see, rather, the stars. And I just hope, better days come to Trenton. And I just hope that we can make a dent, or that the future leaders of this city and the current leaders of the city can make a dent in violence and increase economic opportunity for the people who live here. God bless everyone, Godspeed, and I hope to stay in touch with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. And I have a couple comments to make this evening. First, I would like to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Your opinion matters, and I'm glad to see the public coming out, and I thank all the directors and my colleagues. I just wanted to highlight what occurred on Tuesday. I want to talk about the statement that was made, and they came on this evening saying that they did not make the statement on the council. Mr. Ronaldo and Mr. Kearney. Mr. Ronaldo called me a bitch, and everyone knows the definition of that. They know that it's a four-legged animal, a dog, a fox, or wolf, or an otter. So tonight when he came on, he didn't say that he had disrespected me. He said it was a hot mic. He said that the public didn't hear it. But he never said that he apologized for the disrespect. And he never said that he spoke out of turn. As an African-American female and as a female, I've stated this before. I am the first female to hold this seat as the president of the council for a 4-year term. You don't have to like me, or you don't have to like some of the things that I stand for. But as a woman, you're going to have to respect me. And Mr. Ronaldo or Mr. Can't think of his name right now. I'm just lost. Mr. Kearney, he called me a cunt. And then he comes here and says, oh, they're race baiting. How many of you would call your mothers the B word? How many of you would call your mothers a cunt? But this is the type of disrespect that they render to a woman. It's misogynistic and it's deeply embedded. I am not going to tolerate it because, like I said, you don't have to like me and you don't have to like what I stand for, but you're going to respect me. You're going to respect me first as a human being and as a woman and as a Black woman. You are going to render respect to me, Mr. Ronaldo, whether you like it or not. And as far as the community at large, to allow him to say it with no repercussion, with no consequences. Where can he go at on the commissioner's board, the freeholders board? Where can he go at on the assembly and call a woman a bitch? Where? But they can come into Trenton and disrespect the women on this council and think that it's okay. Where do we put and when do we put an end to this nonsense? And everyone is talking about how dysfunctional this council is because we hold the administration feet to the fire. It's our job. It's our job to read our paperwork, to read our material, and then make the best decision that we feel is necessary for the constituents of Trenton. But I am telling you, Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson, Councilwoman Vaughn, and myself has been treated unfairly. We have been disrespected in every aspect. But when Divine stood on the steps of the city hall and called the mayor out, it was thousands of them coming on this line telling me that I needed to apologize for Divine Allah. But yet and still, Mike Ronaldo can come on this council, call me out of my name, him and Bill Kearney, and no man on this council this evening or any of the guests that came to the floor called him into account. Disgraceful. Disgraceful. How dare you? How dare you come up in here talking about what you're running for? How dare you? And as far as delivering such disrespect to the women on this council, it will not be tolerated. It will not. And you will have to drag me into court because I'll shut you down because I am not going to allow it. And I respect Mr. Kolodji's opinion. I respect Wes's legal opinion. But I'm going to tell you this. I will not allow anyone to be disrespectful to me in my capacity as an elected official and as my capacity as a African-American woman and in my capacity as a human being. You will not disrespect me and think it's okay.
From this day forward.
I wanted to talk about one other thing that has occurred in the city. Last Monday, my mail was delivered to me. And when I got the mail, it was a claim from the unemployment office, the unemployment labor building, stating that I had signed up for an unemployment claim. So I reached out to all the necessary parties. I called the prosecutor's office. I called the police department. I called the administration to find out that our system had been breached and many employees' information had been given out. Someone filed an unemployment claim using my identification number that the city gave me. I didn't even know my own identification number. But not only did they file the claim, but the claim was set to be paid yesterday. So when we began to dig into it and investigate, we find out that there's a mechanism in place from the Labor Department that when you file for unemployment claims, the employer has to verify that you no longer work. So when I called to find out from the city if they had received anything from the Labor Department, they were like, well, Councilwoman, let me check because many people's information has been breached and let me check the system. So when they go to check the system, the mechanism was there. It was there. They should have caught the mechanism that had been put in place to shut that type of fraudulent behavior down, because the Labor Department sends it out and says, is this employee still employed or are they unemployed? And if they are, give us the reasons. But they hadn't even checked. They didn't even notify the council that there had been a breach in the system. How could that go unchecked? How? And so I don't know how many people have been affected by this in the city of Trenton, but they said at least 20 that they could report. And you didn't feel it necessary to inform all of the employees in the city and the council that there have been a serious breach with our identification numbers? It makes no sense. And so as I reached out to all parties across the spectrum to deal with this, I did get a letter back from the director of the unemployment, the Labor Department, stating that They recognized that I did not file the claim, and they would stop the payment. And I'm just telling you, these are things that should not happen without the employees and the council being notified. And third, I have asked the administration and the health department to give us a complete report on how many people in the city hall, how many of our police officers, how many of our firefighters have been affected with the variant, the Omicron variant. Until this day, I still don't have a report. The council still doesn't have that information. And one person asked, why aren't we back into the chambers? The entire city hall had a problem. But the council didn't know about it until the doors of the city hall were closed. This is not the way we're supposed to handle our constituents, and this is not the way to handle the council. And so respect comes on both ends. You need to respect the fact that we are the legislative body in this city. We are the elected officials. And when we ask for the information so that we can inform our public, our constituents, it should be given to us. 5 times, Mr. Kaloji sent out a request for a comprehensive report on the Omicron uptick. And till this day, we don't have a response or a report. Tuesday, we asked that Motorola come in front of us and tell us what their plans are for the radio room, because we have shelled out $10 million. We want Motorola in front of this body to give us the plan for the radio room. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out this evening. And it's to my councilman, Jarrell Blakeley, I wish you the best in your endeavors. As I said to you earlier, what the universe has for you, no one can stop it. And so with that, go make your mark, make us proud, make us proud, make us proud. Thank you. Mr. Conlon?
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion to adjourn by Council President McBride. I have a second. I have a second by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson, and because this is Mr. Blakeley's last vote, I will call the roll. Mr. Blakeley?
Yes.
Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Council President McBride?
Yes.
The last roll has been called. The ayes have it, 7-0. We are adjourned at 8:52 p.m. Godspeed and good luck.
They're all clowns. Straight clowns.
See, this is it.
Mr. Conlon, shut it down, please.